Whatever you connect with that helps you keep you grounded and sane and keeps you from being depressed and helps you to be successful and helps you be a better communicator and a better business person. Put that first. That sobriety, that spiritual lifestyle comes first.
Welcome to the Kind Boss podcast, brought to you by Outsourcing Angel, an Australian-based social enterprise that specializes in helping business owners free up their time and reduce staffing costs, while helping to create employment opportunities for people in developing countries. Visit outsourcingangel.com today. Now, let me welcome your host, Lynn Podetti.
Hello, kind listeners. I'm your host, Lynn Podetti. Today, we'll be speaking to Dennis Berry, a motivational keynote speaker. Dennis wears multiple hats, including the best-selling author of Funky Wisdom, a practical guide to life, host of the Funky Brain podcast, and is also a life and business coach. Dennis grew up as a wild child who went on a journey of addictions. He almost died hundreds of times and had failing health, finances, and relationships. After overcoming so many obstacles and now being sobered for 17 years, it has become his mission in life to help others find peace, overcome life's challenges, and have fun in the process. Listen on as Dennis shares his philosophy to living your best life. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Kind Boss series. And today I have my good friend Dennis. Welcome, Dennis.
Hi, Lynn. Awesome. I'm so happy to be here. This is so cool that we can connect from opposite sides of the world.
Yeah, and it's so great to be interviewing you instead of you interviewing me. I was able to be on your podcast a few weeks ago, and I got to know you, and I was like, you belong in my podcast because you're such a kind soul.
Oh, thank you so much. It was all editing that made it like that.
No, you cannot edit someone's personality. So,
No, I know. And one of the things I loved is that your bubbly personality and your genuine, authentic, just like charismatic self. I just love talking to people that are.
Feeling is mutual. So today I wanted to invite you to talk because we also kind of were connected in some topics around, I guess, personal development, getting over bad habits and, I guess I wanted you to touch base on your story of how you became sober for 17 years. Now, that is so inspiring because I haven't tried to kind of completely stay sober. Like I am, still drinking a little bit, but I had a drinking problem before. And so I want you to share that journey first before I actually want to delve into your amazing book as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so my background was like I was kind of a wild child, and I was a skier and a chef, and like I lived like that crazy wild lifestyle that comes with all that. And then it was fun in the beginning. I can't say it wasn't fun. I met a lot of cool people, and then it just became overindulgent. And then I reached this point where I knew that it wasn't good, and I had to stop, but I couldn't. And it was like this really sad moment in my life when I realized my life's falling apart and I was like dying physically, mentally, spiritually. And if I didn't make changes, I was going to die, which I almost did hundreds of times along the way. And so finally I reached this point. It was in 2003 in March. I lost my job. I lost all my money was gone. And I just hit like what they call rock bottom. And I was, it's at that point when you become willing to do something different, to make the changes you need in order to have your life come together. And, whatever those changes are. For some people, they want to be financially successful or healthy or have a good relationship or whatever it is. But in my case, like I had to hit that point of just like, they call it the gift of desperation, when I'm willing to do things differently because the way I was living, I was killing myself.
Yeah. And so like you obviously said you nearly died so many times. What was it at that moment that was different to other moments?
That's a great question. I guess it's what I just said kind of was like that rock bottom moment. I had this girlfriend at the time, and which was amazing because I was really gross and not a pleasant presence, and I wasn't I shouldn't say I was mean or anything. I was just like depressed and angry and sad inside. And, but she loved me, and she came over to my apartment, and I was laying on my couch in my clothes, and I hadn't slept in like a week, and I was up doing drugs and drinking, and she's like, well, this isn't going to work. And I was like, and I just started crying. I was like, I can't stop. And so she got online and on the dial-up internet, the AOL connection, and found a treatment center that I went for 30 days, and I've been sober since. And that was April 8th, 2003.
Wow. And so you promised yourself to never touch alcohol again? Is that what it means to be sober, when you just don't drink ever again?
Yeah, I don't do drink or do drugs. And, it's that one day at a time thing, at first, like, yes, like I am not going to drink anymore. But at first, so when you tell somebody who's just struggling with that, you can't tell somebody who's in so much desperation that, oh, well, you're going to have to grow up and change your habits and the way that you talk to people and the way that you do this and that. It's overwhelming. So, that's where that one day at a time thing is.
Yeah.
It's not saying to somebody who's like desperately struggling to stay alive, you can't ever drink forever. You say, just today, or maybe just for this hour, you can't drink. Don't drink this hour. And then next hour, work on that hour. And then all of a sudden, put 24 of those together and you have a day, and then put 7 days together, you have a week. And if you keep doing that, all of a sudden you have a few months and a few years, and all of a sudden you have a nice life.
Yeah. And you no longer feel any temptation. You don't feel like you miss it in any way, right?
No, that doesn't ever really creep into my life. I've been in, I get to a place now where I can go anywhere and on the planet. I go to beaches, I go to bars, and people are always drinking. The idea of being sober is not to avoid going places. I avoided life when I was drunk. I locked myself in my apartment or in dark, dingy places with dark, dingy people, and I hid from life then. So the irony is, like, now it's like I get to go out in the world and do things. Now, I didn't do that right out of rehab. I didn't jump out of rehab and go to a bar, to hang out and watch football. That's not how it worked. I was gradually able to change my life, my thinking, my spiritual condition, my physical condition, and get to a place where I can go places. And my sweetie, she drinks, and I make her drinks, and I cook with wine, and I'm able to live a full life and not have to live that way anymore.
Yeah. And you raise a really good point in the sense that you had a job back then, and then you obviously lost it, and it just basically shows that no matter, although some people are business people, have the success and they've got the money, they're behind closed doors, they could be sabotaging themselves. There is some dark force being happening, and they haven't dealt with it yet. And it's, and some of those symptoms are getting into alcohol, drugs, or doing whatever things that they do. So yeah, what is your, I guess, advice on kind of, this is, success is completely different, and this is kind of like a personal success. Like, how do you make sure you achieve both? Like, you can still go and be a great business person, but how do you make sure that you're looking after yourself and being happy and not being influenced by these other factors in life? Yeah.
Now that is an awesome question, because that's the key to it all, is that, the first thing has to be your sobriety and your well-being, your health. Like, those things have to come first, because without those, you don't have the other things. So I have to always put sobriety first. I have to put my spiritual condition first. And I don't mean like spiritual religion or anything specific. Whatever you connect with that helps you keep you grounded and sane and keeps you from being depressed and helps you to be successful and helps you be a better communicator and a better business person. Put that first. That sobriety, that spiritual lifestyle comes first. And when you take care of that, when you nurture that, and that becomes an integral part of your life, everything else just kind of falls into place.
Yeah.
It's really magical. And it's hard at first because there's so much pain and there's so much destruction in the past. When you stop drinking, you're like, I have to fix my finances, my relationships, my health, my well-being, like all these things I have to fix. But, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody that's struggling, they don't understand that concept. They're like, I have to go fix all that stuff right now. And when they realize they can't, they get overwhelmed and start drinking again. So
Mm.
a lot of it is that you have to learn patience. You have to learn how to basically coping skills on how to cope with life. In my case, I started drinking that way when I was 15 years old because I was full of fear and insecurity and anger and frustration. I didn't realize this stuff back then, but when I started drinking, I didn't have to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
And so from 15 to 31, I never grew up. I never learned coping skills. I never learned how to handle life, which is really just what we all have to deal with, except like you learned healthy coping skills along the way. I never learned those things. And so it's hard growing up in your 30s and 40s. And so that's why a lot of people fail in sobriety, is because it's not about not drinking. It's about growing up and changing the way you live.
Yeah, because I think that we're not taught this way. And so hence there's so many successful people with all the money in the world and all the career success. And then they end up, the more money they have, the more access they can have to more alcohol, more drugs, and more bad influences. And then they end up just having a worse life than someone who didn't have all that access. So I think you raise a good point where it's like it's more of a priority to work on yourself first, on your own problems, on who you are as a person, so that then you can grow and become a successful business person or become a movie star or do whatever, because then you can handle all that success. Otherwise you would get into a deep hole, right?
Yeah, and you have such a great handle on it. I mean, like you have that understanding that I just basically I lacked. Like I didn't get that on my own. I had to learn it through pain and heartache.
Yeah. No, I totally relate with you because I was the same as you, actually. You know,
Yeah.
I made all the mistakes in the world. I didn't love myself and I had a lot of parenting problems. And so then, but the other thing I've learned is also to keep working at myself, because I just realized how important myself is. And unless you work on yourself, you can't kind of have all the other successes in life. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, that's exactly the truth. And I would say what we talk about in my circles is character development. You know, character development, most people look over that because they're like, I have to make money. But so they're going to skip over the character development part to get over to where the money is. And along the way, there is no growth. And like what you were talking about, they have the financial success, but inside they're empty. And there's like always a hole or a void that they're trying to fill with outside things like money and work or sex or relationships, power, whatever it is. They fill it with these outside sources, and your outsides don't match your insides. So inside you have this person who's like dying and just like wishing they could be more like deeper and more fulfilled because they have all the stuff. Everything looks great, but they're empty inside. And it's hard to actually make that jump, which is why most people don't. But then, you know, that's why a lot of self-help books, they sell millions of copies of self-help books, because they reach a point where they didn't work on that character development stuff. And they're like, oh, well, now I'm in pain, so I'm going to buy this book. And these books have a lifeline of like 2 to 3 days. Because they're like, I'm going to buy this book. This book's going to fix me. And I'm going to read like the first couple chapters. I'm going to feel excited about it. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to get through the next couple of days of my current problem. And then that book just kind of sits. We all have like a section on our shelf of self-help books, you know. But it's like, the trick is like consistency. It's carrying all these principles through into your whole life. And that's where a lot of people stop.
Yeah. And I think a lot of business people, including myself back then, I was striving for the more money I could make, the better. And I was it's this kind of number, and, you know, that it feels like it's never enough, you know, you never have enough. And it was until I kind of dealt with the reason why do I want this money? And it stemmed from my own parents, and being able to then forgive my parents internally. I no longer feel attached to how much more money. I mean, I still want to more so I could give more, but it's a different intention. It's kind of like, sure, you can still want a lot of money, but you want it for a different reason to just, So I guess, have you come across that with people like we both want the same result, but it's why do we want it, and our intention that is either making us more miserable or making us motivated.
Yeah, well, and especially now, I mean, the most successful, there's so many companies out there. Like there's people like, oh, well, I'm a CEO of a tech company, and it's a kid in their basement, you know, playing video games. So it's like they're like, if you're talking about real businesses, real companies, real successful people that are becoming more successful, they're doing it because they're focused on doing things well, and they're focused on doing things that help other people. And when you do those things, the rest of the stuff just kind of comes on top of you. You know, when all you're doing is focusing on the money, how am I going to get this? How am I going to get there? You struggle to get this and you get there. When you focus on doing what it is that you're trying to do and helping other people along the way, the stuff, it just kind of like, it becomes attracted to you like a magnet. Because you're doing the right things. You can do the wrong things, and people do that. And some people make lots of money doing that, but at some point there's that pain. That's where that emptiness inside. You have your eye on the wrong goal.
Yes. So I would say like the first 5 to 6 years of my entrepreneurship was kind of the, hustle, but unpleasant hustle. And then the recent 5 years has been a lot more pleasant.
Want to make a difference in others' lives? Join us in providing food, medical supplies, and daily living necessities to tribal communities living in extreme poverty in the Philippines. For as little as $50, you can feed a whole village and have peace of mind that 100% of your donations goes directly to those in need. Be a part of our OA Love projects and visit outsourcingangel.com.
I'm going to go to the next section, which is called the high five. This is a fun section where I'm going to ask you this or that, 5 questions, and you just have to choose between the choices. So we get to know Dennis a little bit, and just elaborate a little bit on your choice so that we get to understand why you chose that. All right. Cool. Number 1, holiday in Japan or in Bali?
In Bali, definitely. Well, I don't know if there's beaches in Japan, but I know that there's some pretty sweet spots in Bali, and I'm all about the beach and warmth.
Yeah, the beach guy. Okay. How about Vegas or New York?
That's a tough one. I mean, I grew up in the Northeast near New York, in New Jersey, actually. And I would say probably Vegas. I don't know. I mean, I don't gamble. I don't drink. And I don't party, but the food is incredible. And some of the shows are really cool too. So I would choose Vegas.
Yeah, I was there twice last year. I love it. Like, I just have so much fun. I went once.
You went to Vegas twice from Australia?
Yeah. Last year I went once for a hen's party and then another time for a 40th birthday. And so I pretty much felt like I holidayed out last year. Like, I went to too many holidays. So I was actually saying I'm going to holiday less this year. And then God gave me a reason to not holiday now. But yeah, Vegas all the way. Number 3, passion or motivation?
Passion, absolutely. I mean, I'm motivated by passion. Right? And I think it's like, that goes back to what we were just talking about. If you're passionate about what you're doing, everything else just kind of falls into place. And the other thing, this is really, I love this topic. This is great, because if you're laying in bed in the morning, afraid to get out of bed, and you have the sheets over your head because you don't want to talk to your boss or whoever it is that you have to go to work to, maybe it's because you're not supposed to be doing that job. And is that something you're passionate about? So I would say quit your job, if you do the responsible things, and find something you're passionate about, and that will motivate you.
Love that answer. Love it. Thank you. All right. Question 4, music or movies?
Music. That one's the easy one. Yeah. Well, I don't watch a lot of TV, and, lately we've been watching some Netflix shows and stuff, but I just feel like vegging is not for me. I get empowered by music. Yeah. I mean, I get inspired by music. It's kind of like a passion, and I like everything from Mozart to Metallica and everything in between. I like to listen to different music based on my moods. I listen to music to get me in a mood that I want to get into. Music is a powerful, powerful thing.
Do you work with music? I'm just curious. Like, I find it hard to focus if I have music on the background, but are you one of those type that can work through music, or?
No, I need
either. Yeah.
Well, actually, it depends on what you're working on, right? So if I'm like doing proposals or something that just requires deep, full-on dentist attention, then no music, no noise. at all. But, you know, if I'm playing around like on Photoshop, messing around with like graphics or something, then I can listen to some. But other than that, I need it quiet.
Yeah.
But,
And do you feel like as you get older, your music taste change? Like lately, I've been listening to a lot of relaxing music, meditation music, or piano music, like just really like old, like not like the pop.
I think it does change, and that's another great question. And you know what else is that I noticed, and this was a few years ago, is that you have to focus on what energy you're giving yourself at any given time. When I wake up in the morning, I do my little meditation stuff. I want to get peaceful. You know, I don't want to be listening to Slayer. Now, if I go to the gym and I'm getting pumped up in or whatever it is, I want to put something on that gets me pumped up. And that might be for an hour and a half. And then when I leave the gym, I don't want that vibe anymore. I don't want to carry that rage out. I want that rage when I'm working out. I want to be able to lift, you know, the extra 50 pounds an extra 10 times. But when I leave, I'm going to leave that rage there. I need to shift gears and get back into the right frame of mind. So I'm not driving down the road, giving people the finger, you know, like staying focused with the right energy. And music is powerful for that.
You've just had a light bulb moment for me there, because I realized that maybe it's because I was seeking calmness that I felt the urge to listen to this kind of music. I just thought that my taste changed, but it's really that driven by my need of the state that I want to feel.
Absolutely.
Really good point. Also love it. All right, last question. Do you like sunrise or sunset?
I like sunrise, and this is a great. This one's really great because for 15 years during my drinking and crazy times, I missed so many sunrises, and I don't miss any anymore. I'm up always before the sun, and I want to watch the sunrise, and I want to look forward to my day ahead. That one's easy.
So
I mean, there's beautiful sunsets. Don't get me wrong. I love watching the sun go down on the beach somewhere, like sitting over the ocean or whatever it is. But there's nothing like the day starting. It's like another chance at life. You know, whatever it is that you want to do, when the sun rises, you can go do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like I used to, I don't know, I don't remember ever seeing the sunrise when I was younger. And then nowadays, it's when you see the sun, you're like, wow, the world is actually so beautiful. You know, the sky is so beautiful, and the colors that it has in there, you're like, it just gives you that feeling of, this earth is beautiful. We just take it for granted. Thank you so much for answering those questions. Well, to my next segment, I actually want to talk about your book. The title's cool. I want to know, why did you call it The Funky Wisdom? Like, that is so unique. What was it about the title that you chose it that way?
Well, that great question again. You have such great questions.
Thank you.
So in sobriety over the years, I go to my 12-step meetings, which I don't go as much as I used to, but I still pop in there. And over the years, my friends, because I was just like crazy wild brain, and I was trying to grow up later in life, and then my brain went in a lot of different directions. So my friends over the years said, "Oh, Dennis has funky brain." So I was going to call the book Funky Brain, but I decided to call it Funky Wisdom because it implies growth. You know, it implies, hey, I learned something along the way. You know, I bumped into some walls and stubbed my toe, but I still learned a little bit along the way, and I want to share that with you. So that's where Funky Wisdom came from. It's called Funky Wisdom, a practical guide to life. But my podcast is called Funky Brain Podcast with Dennis Berry. So I'm keeping the funky vibe going. And then I'm working on my next book called Funky Health, which is because I shouldn't be alive. And I was able to just flip my health around a total 180, from being 60 pounds overweight with dark circles under my eyes and unhealthy and dying, basically, to, 180 pounds. Actually, in isolation here, I've been eating too many cookies, but other than that, I'm a pretty healthy guy.
Yeah. And I love that, because you're a life coach, right? And you help people through, overcoming obstacles. And the best part is that you've got the real life experience. Like, you've actually gone through it. And so that's the biggest thing that I've learned about life, is if you're looking for a coach or you're looking for someone to learn from, are you working with someone who read the book and told you to do this? Or are you working with someone that can actually share their experience? And that's the difference. Right.
That is the difference. I mean, I've worked with those people before. I've asked those people to help me, and they can only take you so far, because they don't know, what's beyond that, because they haven't lived that. I've lived that. So I can share my experience. So when somebody comes to me and they're like, I can't stop drinking, I'm angry, I'm depressed, I don't know how to handle my relationships, I think about killing myself sometimes, like all these things that are, really eating a person up inside and keeping them from being as successful as they can be, I've been through them.
Yeah.
And so I can say, I can't say do exactly this because this is going to get you there, but I can say this is what I did. I could share my experience, strength, and hope, and say, this is what happened to me. These were the steps I took to get there. So based on my experience, I suggest maybe you try this or look at it from this angle. And usually when I say that to somebody, some light bulbs go off and they're like,
yeah,
I never thought of it that way before.
yeah.
And then their lives actually change.
Yeah, because the thing is, you can relate to the feeling that they have, the hurdles that they feel. But not only that, I think that when they see you, they're like, if you can do it, I can do it. I actually believe that I could do it because I'm sitting in front of someone that has actually done it. And so I really recommend people talking to you. If it's really about changing your life, going from funky to like greatness, then you are that person. So can you quickly go through the 6 steps that you cover in the book, so that I know there's probably a lot of good nuggets in there, but just a quick overview of what those 6 steps look like?
Sure. Yeah. What I did was basically I took, and I don't want to scare people away by this, which is why I wrote my book the way I did, is that I went through the 12-step program and it saved my life. And, AA, NA, all these different A's, right? It's the most profound program ever written on the planet. It's a program of self-reflection, of growth, of spirituality, of improving your life. But most people will not do it because they're not alcoholics, or because they don't have that problem, or because they don't think they have an addiction to whatever, food, whatever it is, or they don't want to admit it yet. What I did was I took those principles and I put it into a 6-step program that anybody could do any day. You could do it every day if you want to, and it will help you see things differently and help you be more positive, healthy, happy, and successful. And so the first step is admission. You can't solve a problem you can't admit exists, right? So if you keep going around drinking and blaming everybody else for your problems, if you can't admit and say, I have a problem, then you can't solve that problem. Hey, maybe it's not drinking. Maybe it's I overreact to things. Maybe I eat too much, whatever it is. So once you admit it, then you can do something about it. The next piece, at least for me and my funky brain, is meditation. I need to calm down. I've admitted I have this problem. I can't work on it until I calm down, So once I calm down, now I have a chance at solving the problem. The third one is spirituality. It's such an important piece. And this is why I said even earlier, I'm not talking about Jesus or a specific God. And Jesus is great if that's what you believe in. No problem. Billions of people do. I'm saying find something greater than you that could be like your friend, your buddy, and help walk you through this problem in a calm, productive way. Connect with that. And I go through some pretty detailed steps of how you can connect with that in the book. The next part, the 4th step, is called inventory. It's about what caused this, basically, right? Like look in the past, like drinking or eating or drugs or whatever it is, that's not your problem. That's what you're using to cover up the real problem. And that's what a lot of people don't see. I have to go back and dig into that. Oh, well, my parents beat me up or didn't treat me well, or my friends did this, or I don't have money, or my girlfriend or boyfriend did this. You have to go back and resolve that stuff. Once you do that, now you're working through your problems. And through that process, you learn about who you are, what your defects are, your shortcomings, where you are doing well and where you're not doing well. Once you identify those things, then you can make the changes to become a better person. The 5th one is to clear up the past. Put the past in the past. Let bygones be bygones. Be happy. Live in the moment. If you hurt somebody, make it right. Go back. But they're in order for a reason. You have to get through these other parts and other pieces before you go out and start apologizing and trying to fix past relationships. Once you do that, now you're free to look the world in the eye, because I don't have to carry that burden around of hate, fear, anger, insecurity, all those things that were making me do whatever my problem was. And the last step is maintenance. And that's just the everyday maintenance that we need to do to stay healthy, calm, focused, right? That meditation, the exercise, the positive affirmations, feeling good about yourself, loving each other, and helping other people. And that's such an integral piece. I mean, you brought it up. You're living it, Lynn. I love talking to you because you are a living, like, walking example of all of this. Like, your life is centered around helping other people, and that's why you're happy and successful.
Yeah, and I think that's why we both can understand, because we went through such a shitty life. We caused it for ourselves, and then we fixed ourselves. And, all the steps that you mentioned, I pretty much did that for myself too. And well, the only time that it worked is when I did that, if you know what I mean. There's times when I relapsed or did wrong things. It's because I didn't follow those steps, but those steps really have covered everything that I agree that I'm an example of. I had to do all that for any of those drastic change to change. And as motivated people like us, the maintenance part is so important, because I think people think, oh, you're just positive and that's just the way you are. No, every day I have to maintain that, add, positive, inspirational things into my head and do whatever I need to do to stay this way, right? Because we are human beings. We can feel crap too.
Yeah, and that happens every day. And, I think it's important to pay attention. And, when you do this stuff, lights go off and your mind changes. The way you think actually changes. And when you're down and hurting, you don't see how that could possibly happen. But you pay attention to the things that you're pumping into your head. Pay attention to the people you're surrounding yourself with. If you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you're probably going to be the next millionaire. If you're sitting on a bar stool with 5 other drunks, you're probably going to be the next drunk. So it's like, pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with. Pay attention to what you're watching on TV. Pay attention to what you're listening to on podcasts, on radio stations, on your own, Spotify or whatever you're listening to throughout the day. Are you listening to music that, inspires you? That's going to help push you to where you want to be? Or are you listening to music that's going to prohibit that? Pay attention to your actions, because your actions are going to end up becoming your end results.
Yeah, love it so much. Thank you. Well, I have final 2 questions for you before I let you go. What time is it over there, by the way?
I don't know. I shut my phone off. So
is it nighttime or morning time?
No, it's night. I think it's
night.
Yeah, it's nighttime.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go and eat your dinner or get ready for bed. My last question is, since it's a Kind Boss show, I like to ask my guests, what does being a kind boss mean to you?
A kind boss? That means, I love this. So we just went into leadership. Leaders produce other good leaders, right? So it's like, you surround yourself with the people you want to be like, and if they're not, give them your best. Be the kind boss. Is like, I'm going to give you what I have, everything that I have, to help you get to where you need to be. And it might not be here with me at some point, but I want to give you all the tools I can. I mean, the best companies, most successful companies in the world have that lateral model. I'm not your boss. I'm your equal. And I look you in the eye every day. And if there's something wrong, I want to hear about it. Whether it's in your personal life, keep some stuff personal, or whether it's something I'm doing wrong. So, you have to listen and be a good leader. And being a good leader means building other leaders.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that. Well, my final question for you is, what do you want us to remember Dennis for? Or everyone around the world to remember Dennis for?
Well, I want people to know that I'm genuine and authentic, that I'm not out to get anybody. I'm out to, be your friend, really. I mean, I can keep that one pretty short. It's like, I've been through it. And if I can help, if my past experience or of failures, successes, whatever it is, can help you become better, happier, healthier, stronger, wiser, please ask me, because I'm going to give it all to you.
Yeah, and I can definitely assure that I do feel you're very genuine, you're very authentic, because you were so vulnerable. You talked to us about your drugs, your alcohol life, and all your weaknesses, and you inspired us and inspired me through your story. So thank you so much for being with me on the show today.
Thank you, Lynn. It was such a pleasure and honor, really, to once again talk to you. You like energize me. Thank you.
You energize me too, pal. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for joining our podcast today. We hope this interview has inspired and humbled you to be a kind boss. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and let us know what you think about our show. If you have any questions, please visit outsourcingangel.com. Until then, stay kind and spread love.